How's everybody doing?
Morning.
Buenos dias. So, quick poll, really quick. I'm just wondering, how many people went to the wargaming party last night?
All right.
Okay, not that many. How many people went to the Astro thing? Not that many. How many people went to In-N-Out Burger instead? That's where I went. Yes, there we go. In-N-Out Burger wins.
Yeah,
All right.
we did it.
Twitchcon after party next year will be In-N-Out Burger.
Hype.
So, what hardware is best for streaming? I get this question all the time when I go to conventions, on Twitter. You know, what should I use for my streaming PC? What should I buy? What should I build? So I don't know the answer, so I created this panel to figure it out. Just kidding, obviously. So we're gonna get right into it, and we're just gonna go one by one. These are esteemed panelists, and just gonna give a quick intro of who we are and our rig at home. So hopefully you guys are ready for that. So I'm Kevin Wasilewski, one of the founders of Origin PC. We specialize in building gaming PCs. What do you know? High-performance gaming PCs for streamers, for content creators, hardware enthusiasts, gamers. And I've been in the industry for quite some time, actually. I was at Alienware before Origin PC, so really my passion is PC hardware. So anytime you want to talk PC hardware, hit me up on Twitter. You want to talk gaming, etc. My rig at home, I have a few rigs. This is my laptop here. I also have my main gaming rig. I don't actually stream that much. I should stream a lot more, but don't have that much time. I don't even game that much. I already miss my rig. I've been away for a week. But my main gaming rig at home, I have dual monitors, dual 4K G-Sync. I have, of course, Intel Core i7 hex core processor, a couple of Titan X graphics cards. So it does okay, you know. That's my main rig, and then I have a couple other PCs. So yeah, we'll just go next to Kuzi and.
My name's Alexis. I am a marketing specialist at Origin PC. My name's @QZL on Twitter. Make sure to follow me there. I've been with Origin PC for about a year now. I'm also a streamer. I'm captain of Team Origin PC, our stream team. Shout out to my peeps out there. The rig I have at home is kind of a mid-tier rig. I got an i7 quad core. I rock a 980, 16 gigs of RAM. Does perfectly well as a single streaming PC. Yeah.
Hey, I'm Jackson Bajira Blyton, WoW streamer. Also partnered with Origin PC. We've been together for like 2 years, I think. And these guys built me a gnarly PC. And admittedly, I'm not like a super techie guy. So in terms of like the inner workings of it, I think we have like an i7 processor in there, 2 980 graphics cards, I believe. And yeah, that thing is a beast. It's a single PC streaming setup. It's worked for me beautifully. I also do YouTube, so that allows me to, be streaming at the same time as recording videos. I can even render a video while the stream's up. So for me, having, efficient use of my time is important, and having a PC that allows me to do that is really important. And these guys did that. So it's from what you describe your PC as, I guess mine is a mid-grade PC, but it certainly performs like a beast. And yeah, pretty happy about that. But yeah, you guys can, if you want to, check me out at Bajira Wow and Bajira on Twitch as well.
Awesome, yeah. I'm Swiftor, longtime broadcaster on Twitch, also YouTuber. Also wannabe hardware nerd for as long as I can remember, building my own PCs. I used to be an IT director back in the days, and just, I don't think I want to build any more PCs myself after my last one, just the pain of getting it to work. But I'm currently running an 8-core 5960X i7 processor with NVIDIA 980 Ti, got some SSDs, water cooled and all that fun stuff. I know a lot of broadcasters like to do, 2 PC setups where one, outputs the game video to a second machine, which probably sends it off to YouTube or to Twitch. I find value in having a single streaming box. We can talk more about it later, but pretty happy with my rig. But every year it's a new toy.
Hi, I'm Corey Roseman. I am the mystery panelist not up there, but definitely here to talk about streaming and the transition from PC to console. Have been doing most of the streaming on PS4 for myself with my Destiny Fire team, and primarily I'm here with Plantronics. Plantronics Gaming, what we've done is actually created a solution for aspirational streamers with a headset and a mixer, and we're really looking for the folks that are starting to stream or get into streaming, not even sure if they're going to do PC or console, and to offer a solution up that doesn't require too much investment before you know if this is really something you want to do as a hobby or if you really want to go and become like a Twitch partner or a professional broadcaster.
Cool. Corey, thanks for coming. It was a last-minute substitution. If you're looking for Towley, unfortunately, he was double booked. So Corey is your Towley for today, for the next hour. All right, so the basics. Just going to go into the basics of if you're building a streaming PC, what's the most important thing? So we're going to go in order. CPU is your most important thing. A lot of people typically say for a gaming PC, the GPU is your most important thing. For a streaming PC, your CPU becomes your most important thing. That's because that's going to power your encoding. So arguably, the GPU is also, like I said, the most important thing for gaming. So obviously, the GPU powers your games. So you know, the point of this slide is if you're on a budget and you're thinking, all right, I have a fixed amount of money, you know, how much should I put into the CPU? How much should I put into the GPU to other aspects? You know, you want to put the most into the CPU, the second most into the GPU, and the third most into your RAM. That's going to power your multitasking. But there's also the other thing to consider, which a lot of people often overlook. Instead of just thinking CPU and GPU, you want to think your chipset. So your chipset, you have the new Z170, or you have X99. So this is where budget comes into play. If you have enough budget, you want to spring for X99, you're going to get more cores, you're going to get more power. If you're on a less of a budget, you want to go with Z170, and that's actually the brand new Skylake technology. It's fantastic, but you don't have to go with the latest and greatest. So you can also step back and you could say, you know what, I'm going to get last generation chipset, or I'm going to get 2-generation old chipsets. This is all very possible. You don't have to go with the latest and greatest. You know, our customers, they obviously want the latest and greatest, but you know, if you're building your own, if you're buying a PC, you know, I don't want people to spend more than they need to. So if you're on a tight budget, I would say go with Haswell. You're going to lose a little bit of technology, a little bit of speed, but honestly, it's going to be great because those chips are amazing. And another thing that people very, very often forget about is your power supply. You know, it's so important to get your CPU, your GPU, your chipset. You don't want to get enough power to power your PC. You want to get enough power to power your PC for the next 2-3 years. Why? Because, you know, we're always upgrading. Yep. I think everybody here, you've probably upgraded your PC along the way. And it's the worst when you realize, I don't have enough power to put in another GPU. Yep. So I need to take out my power supply and rewire the entire thing. It's a pain.
Yeah. Total pain. You don't want to do it.
And an upgrade in a PSU is actually not that much more money. So it's worth it to get a little bit higher PSU and be ready for the future to go with a slap and a second video card.
I see that happen very often. People just get like just enough to power their current rig, and they want to add on a new CPU or an extra GPU, and it's just not enough power, and then they have to switch everything out. It's a pain. It's not worth it.
Even when we're giving away PCs, we often talk about, okay, you know, what kind of budget does our marketing budget have so we can give away this PC and get something nice out there. We even take that into consideration. We say, all right, we're going to give away this PC with this GPU, but we're going to upgrade the PSU in case the person who wins it wants to slap in another video card. They're not going to be stuck with what they have.
Right.
And obviously SSD. SSD, if you don't have it, you get one right away. It's a beautiful thing. That's going to increase your boot time on your PC, so every day when you boot up, and your game loading. So SSD, you got to have one.
Yep.
In my PC at home, I have like 3 SSDs, I think, because we have a hot swap hard drive. So every time I get a new SSD, I can just slap another one in there and add some more content to it.
Yeah, I've said it time and time again on stream when people ask me all the time, like by far the best upgrade I've ever done to my computer was get an SSD to it. The difference between a mechanical hard drive and an SSD when it comes to loading times for games, booting up the PC, it's incredible. And it's something that you see immediately. Like your PC will go from, it'll take like a minute to load up. When you get an SSD, it's like less than 10 seconds maybe. It's amazing. It's incredible technology. Highly recommended.
Yeah, definitely. I will say, though, if you're a broadcaster who likes to record a lot of their own content, locally record it, and I suggest everyone does record their own local content in like as high as resolution as you can. I do like 1080p, 60 frames per second. You can get away with doing an old hard drive or a hybrid hard drive with 4 terabytes of storage and do local recording just fine with very minimal hit. It'll take advantage of your graphics cards, the NVIDIA. Some feature does the shadow play, right?
Yeah.
So
I use shadow play as well.
Yeah, that's great. So barely hits your CPU. Plus, what happens, I think, with XSplit anyway, is it records your footage to RAM, which is super fast, and then copies it over to hard drive. So there's no loss in quality or drop frames. So it works very beautifully. So fast SSDs for your OS, for your games, and you have your large storage, good old hard drive, to store all your broadcast footage.
Yeah, really good point. And you mentioned the hybrid drives as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, those are becoming really, really popular. We highly recommend them. To get a hybrid drive, you get some SSD, and the rest is a normal hard drive.
Right.
And they're usually much higher capacity, which is great
Yep.
for recording.
So now we're going to go into different setups. So we basically labeled everything good, better, best, and then ultimate. So you could go lower end than this, obviously, but this is what we recommend, what I recommend for kind of the starting out point. So, you know, I wouldn't say minimum specs, but this is close to minimum. So if you're on a budget, you want to go with the CPU. Intel Core i5 is what we recommend, quad core. The GPU, anything DX10 capable. I don't know, Kuzi, if you know off the top of your head, what is that? Is that 950, 960?
You can even go with 700 series cards
Okay.
that are DX10 capable. Like I said, if you're doing it on a budget, this is like the minimum, but it'll still work for you. And it also depends on the games you're trying to stream and the quality you're trying to pump out. But definitely quad core, nice DX10 card. Who's got 8 gigs of RAM there. It's pretty much the bare minimum, but it'll do you good.
Yeah, and be aware, 4 gigs of RAM. Some people will tell you 4 gigs of RAM is the minimum, but you really don't want to get caught with 4 gigs of RAM in your PC. You're going to get by, but at some point, very soon, you're going to say 4 gigs is just not enough. I can't do anything except for one application at a time.
Yeah, that's the thing about when you're streaming. It's not just the game you have opened up. You got the game. You've got your broadcasting software. You've got maybe voice comms. You've got your chat window opened up. You've got multiple browser windows opened up, and it becomes increasingly difficult if you've got the bare minimum of RAM. So it's best to pump that up as high as you can.
Yeah, and the GPU, like you said, you can get away with last generation 700 series. As long as you have DX10 capable, because DX10 is out now and it's the future, then you're good to go. You always, whatever I recommend, whatever budget you have, I always say, don't buy for just today. Buy for the future.
Right.
That being said, I mean, there are a lot of people who ask me on my stream, like, or it's actually more of a comment. They're like, okay, I can't start streaming until I get this beast PC that I'm saving up for. And that makes sense. I mean, you do want to have a good PC, but this information is really useful because in a lot of things, a lot of long-term projects, and I think that streaming and doing YouTube is something that you should consider as a long-term project. You know, you put in a little bit of work or a lot of work over a long period of time to have it be successful. And just getting started is really important. So don't, if you guys are out there thinking, okay, you're here at this panel saying, okay, what do I need to get started? You don't need like the 3 slides later if that's not what your budget calls for. Start now, and as you put more time into it, it becomes more successful. You can sort of justify the investment of like bigger and better computer parts. But it's extremely important to get started, and this is good information to write down or remember so you guys can do that.
Absolutely. Like time is your biggest resource. You want to get started now, and you can always upgrade your stuff later on as you go.
Yep. And depending on what game you play also, of course.
Yeah.
If you're going to play a game that's GPU intensive, then your GPU is going to be a lot more important. But if you're playing Hearthstone, then you can get away with pretty much any GPU.
Right. You can get away with a tablet at that point.
I play a lot of WoW, so I could probably play that on like a DS at this point, right?
Yeah.
No DS.
I'm waiting for that cross-platform.
Blizzard.
So yeah, like I said, we have good, better, best. So on the better slide, this is where your CPU can upgrade a little bit. You're going to go with a hex core or an octa core. Intel Core i7 is what we recommend. AMD equivalent is fine as well. On the GPU, instead of just DX10, that still remains, you want DX10. But you also want something 4 gigs video RAM or higher. So Kuzi, do you know where that lines up?
That would be starting at the 970 from NVIDIA. That's where you can really start getting some power. That's what I started off with, was the 970, and I was 970 with i7. I was running games like Ark, H1Z1, Call of Duty, Battlefield, pretty good, flawlessly on stream. I usually pump out, right now, like what Twitch has, 720p, 60 frames per second is a pretty good point to start streaming. It's not too CPU intensive, and you can usually still hit about above 60 frames, which is ideal, which is what you want because it comes out looking super smooth, and I think it makes you a better gamer because you're not so choppy everywhere when you're trying to kill people in games. So yeah, I'd definitely start there.
But then if you're not getting those frames per second, you can always say, well, I got killed because my hardware wasn't good enough.
Yeah, of course. That's the excuse.
You have an excuse. It was lagging. It wasn't me.
Lag.
And the RAM. The RAM, we're sticking with 8 gigs here. You really don't need 16 gigs, so 8 gigs is fine. So the best configuration. This is where you want to go with probably What do you think? Who's the Intel X99?
Yeah,
So this is
X99
where-
is when
yeah.
this is where it starts.
Yeah, this is where you want to spring for the X99 platform, octa-core processor. It's a beast processor. You can do anything on this chip. And then your GPU. So if you want to go beast on your GPU, the new, or not so new, but the relatively new NVIDIA Titan X. Again, AMD equivalent is fine, but this is just what we have, what we recommend.
Yeah, and the new 980 Ti from NVIDIA is like a
Yeah.
little bit under the Titan X, but you really only see the difference in the two when you're pumping out 4K. If you're just doing 1080p, 980 Ti, two of those cards, you're gonna blow through every game you have, and it's incredible. They're incredible cards. Very good price point, pretty affordable, still very high end, and highly recommend it.
And one of the things,
Oh, no, go ahead.
one of the things to keep in mind is that when you're streaming at like insanely high quality, it'll actually disallow certain viewers from viewing your stream if it's too
absolutely.
high of a bit rate or too high of a quality. So, I mean, if you're pumping out 4K, that's great for like the other 16 people in your stream watching 4K. So just keep that in mind when you're sort of weighing your cost-benefit analysis there.
Yeah.
Right, and also, what the nice thing about a rig like this is if it saves you time. For example, like with a rig like 8 cores, you can export video from Premiere while you're also broadcasting and you're playing your high-end PC game. So instead of waiting until your export is done to start your stream, etc., you can do all those things at the same time, and your CPU is actually doing just fine.
Yep.
Yeah, that would be the huge advantage.
Yeah,
for-
absolutely.
Cool. So ultimate. So this is a slide that we actually added this morning at 6:30 a.m. Because we were talking about one of the guys on our stream team and his setup, and we realized, we don't even have his setup on our slides. So ultimate, this is when you have the money to really spend on one rig that's going to do everything for you.
One rig to rule them all.
One rig to rule them all. Yes. I don't even have a rig this nice.
No.
But this rig, this type of setup, you're going to have your gaming PC. You're going to be able to stream from it, and you're going to be able to create content, do rendering, all in one box. So some of the guys we work with prefer this type of setup. Some people go with dual PCs. We'll get into that in a little bit. So if this is for a single CPU, a single PC configuration, and basically the CPU, you're going Xeon. So Xeon is a whole other level.
Yeah.
Single Xeon or dual Xeon, totally different chipset. But this is the top-of-the-line processor technology that Intel has to offer. What's the core count on those?
It goes up to 12, it goes up to 16, I believe, the highest.
Yeah, it's crazy.
insane. It's they're usually for professional use, but I have seen a lot of YouTubers, especially YouTubers because they're doing rendering and whatnot, really go for these. It pumps out video very fast, very high quality. You don't lose much performance when you're doing it either, and it's pretty much future-proof for quite some time.
Yeah, and GPU doesn't really change here. This is where the same thing, we're recommending Titan X, single, dual, or triple, but like you guys said, if you're not doing 4K, you don't have to go that extreme. So you want to take into account what type of resolution you're running, what type of game you're playing, and weigh how much you want to spend. But for the ultimate config, that would be Titan X's, 2 of them at least.
At least, right?
And the RAM, 32 gigs of RAM. So like I said, this is not the typical setup. We don't expect people to jump all over this one. But there are a lot of people we know that are using this type of configuration,
Absolutely.
and it's pretty insane.
And you can tell in the videos they pump out, it's really high quality stuff. And like I said, a lot of professional people use it. There's some of the guys we work with, Quarter Digital, they make awesome videos. I don't know if you guys have seen that real life GTA 5 video that they did, but they do that on systems like this, and they do all the graphics on there and all the special effects. So it's something for that.
Something to keep in mind if you're going with this type of configuration, or if you have the budget, no matter what type of configuration, you might want to have a backup PC just in case. So, some new type of driver comes out or something, some Windows 10 or something comes out, and you install it and throws a hiccup into your normal flow, something's not working right. You want to be able to just say, you know what, this PC's not running, I have problems, I need to keep my stream going. Let me go to my backup PC, switch out, I'm live with that, the other PC, I'll figure it out.
Yeah, especially for broadcasters. I mean, it's your livelihood, right?
Yeah,
This is
absolutely.
what you do. If you really just have that single PC, I mean, hardware's hardware. It could go bad at some point. There could be a hiccup of some sort. And if you have a backup PC while you send your other one away to get fixed, it's definitely something you should consider.
So what other type of options are there? We talked about your typical desktops, but streaming on the go. A lot of people often ask us, I'm traveling a lot, I'm going to Twitchcon, I want to stream while I'm on the road. what do you recommend? Should I take a small form factor PC, but then I have to lug around a monitor? But you can actually stream with a laptop. So for laptops, we recommend a quad-core CPU,
Right.
a 970M or a 980M. I think a 970M is really, really the sweet spot. Obviously, you need a webcam on there. If it doesn't have a webcam built in, then you must have a notebook from 20 years ago. I don't know. But if it doesn't have a webcam built in, you can just plug in a USB webcam. You can use your phone, or you can use a second monitor for chat.
Yeah.
So
Always
that's
really
something,
important.
that's something to think about while you're on the road. And then there's also some laptops out there that have desktop CPUs. So it's pretty crazy. You can get an insane amount of power on the go. A lot of laptops out there now, they're actually as powerful as desktops.
Yep.
So don't be afraid to say, you know what, I don't want to go with a laptop because I'm going to be missing out on the full power. You can get some laptops out there that can do everything for you.
Yeah, I have the Eon 17S, I believe, and that seems, I'm not sure if you guys know the hardware, but it seems like one of those laptops that's like a portable PC.
Yeah.
It's really powerful. I mean, you can stream in 60 FPS and play with no hiccups in your gameplay at all. So when I've been on the road traveling around to conventions and stuff, my PC, my laptop is not what's holding me back, because you just got to find good internet.
Right.
But,
Yeah, that is definitely.
yeah, then you just find, it's like, okay, speed test, great. Plug everything in, start streaming. It's pretty cool.
You don't just go to Starbucks and stream from there?
No, you
Use
shell out for
Wi-Fi.
that high speed internet. It's like, oh baby, 2 up. Let's do this.
Yes.
And this may be obvious, but you definitely want to make sure that your laptop is plugged in.
Yeah,
I had
right.
someone try to stream while on battery power, and one, it lasted maybe 25 minutes. Two,
Yeah,
the quality, because a lot of laptops, they basically dumb down. a
Yeah,
lot
they go
of
to
the
like low power
processes.
mode, right?
Absolutely.
So single PC versus dual PC. Another question we often get is, should I use one PC for everything, or should I have one PC dedicated to streaming and one PC dedicated to gaming? What are the benefits? How powerful should each PC be? I want to put you on the spot, Kuzi, and let you take this one, but what do you think?
So basically, when it comes to this, the good thing about having 2 PC setup, your streaming PC, if you have a pretty powerful gaming rig, but you don't think that you want to use it to do both at the same time, you can get a streaming PC, maybe just get a quad core. You don't even have to dish out a lot for the video card, because there's really no video going through it. It's all about the CPU at that point. You get a nice little external capture card, and then you can just have your streaming PC pump out the stream for you while you're still gaming on your gaming PC. If your gaming PC is pretty powerful now, but you don't think that you can stream off of it as well, you can probably build yourself a very inexpensive streaming PC with a low-end graphics card and be in your dual PC setup dream right there. A lot of people make the mistake like, oh, I need to do the exact same config on my second PC. It's not necessary. You just really need to focus on the CPU and RAM at that point for a second PC setup, and you'll be just fine. And the quality really shows in that too.
Any of you guys have a dual PC setup?
No, only single PC, but I
Yeah.
mean, obviously other broadcasters, like, other benefits are like, if you're running like a PC game that has trouble going to like, borderless window mode, that can be a pain on a single setup, unfortunately. And so having a second PC to handle that and just output the HDMI makes that problem go away. And also on the PC, the second PC where you actually do your streaming, there's some value in having like, an NVIDIA card where you can like do that like low CPU local recording too.
Right.
Yeah, I just do a single PC setup, but one of the things that could be fun is, it's not really the same thing as what you're talking about, but if you have like 2 streams, you can have somebody else, 2 PCs, you can have somebody else playing a game, and you can put both streams on
yeah, that's
one
cool.
stream. If you just put it through the capture card,
Right.
which is pretty cool.
That is pretty cool.
So, good segue, capture card. When should you use a capture card? Kuzi?
Usually when you have 2 PCs or when you're streaming console games also, capture cards are they're must-have at that point. What the capture card does is exactly what it describes itself as. It captures your video, your gameplay, and pumps it out to the streaming PC setup. Right.
Right, and nice thing about capture card, it's very flexible for other stuff too. For example, let's say you want to stream a mobile game. There's stuff like Air Server that will let you do that, over your Wi-Fi with some delay. But if you have HDMI in using that capture card, HDMI out of your phone, directly into your capture card, flawless audio, barely any delay on your video, works really well there. Also, at least for my setup, if you want to go a little bit above in terms of camera quality, you can actually take your camcorder with an HDMI output, plug that into a second capture card you have, and use that for your your picture-in-picture camera, which works beautifully too.
Cool. So we're going to have a Q&A at the end where we can talk more about specs or any questions you have for anyone. Now we're going to talk about besides the PC, what about all these things that you can plug in? What about everything beyond the PC? So you have your microphones, obviously. These are a couple blue mics that we have here. Price ranges 60 to 240, or depending on what you can find on sale. What do you guys use for your mic setups?
Oh yeah, I use a Shure PG42. It's just a nice, it's about $250, but it's a USB microphone, very nice quality. I previously used a blue microphone. Those are great too. I just honestly, at least their older model, didn't like the way it looked like a phallic kind of. sorry. The Shure one was a lot nicer in terms of shape. It's silly, whatever. But yeah, but both really nice quality microphones, absolutely.
Something you should take into consideration. And everything that you just have it hanging right here all the time. Get that out of my face.
Yeah, I've used the Blue Yeti before. Fine microphone. Right now I'm using the Razer Siren desktop mic. Both those are great. Do have the mic off camera though.
Right. Awesome.
those both work fine. I do think a desktop mic is pretty cool. I mean, people can. A lot of streamers, especially early on, have done absolutely fine just with a headset microphone. I mean, like I've sort of mentioned in the beginning, it's a lot about just getting started. So if you got a headset with a mic and you don't really want to shell out for that, you certainly don't have to. But as your streaming progresses and as you want to sort of invest more in it, yeah, definitely a desktop mic or studio mic is a good investment.
Yeah, I remember when I took the turn from a headset mic to the studio mic, it's when I started taking it more seriously. Right. And it kind of gives you that more like professional feel when you have that studio microphone there. It's even something just in your head, you're like, wow, now look at me, I have my studio mic, my sound quality is really high. And you know, it's something that you should definitely consider when you're taking that next step into a more professional stream.
Yeah, there are a lot of great options out there. We have some things in the slide here, but really there's so many different options.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of which, green screens. How many of you guys use green screen setup? What type of setup do you have?
Mine is just like, I don't even like it's like a hanger almost, like the green screen kind of drapes from. It's in like my bedroom, so it looks really weird. But no one can notice that on the show, so that's great. But yeah, it's literally just like a $120 kit off Amazon.
Okay.
They give you the lighting kit, they give you the green screen and poles, and yeah, works out pretty well.
Yeah, he's a green screen as well, but believe it or not, your system is a little bit more high tech than mine. We just have green fabric, and we have thumbtacked it to the wall. Don't tell our rental agency that.
That's a lot cleaner than mine. Trust me.
We just have the two lamps that are just in the room, but it works out okay. You just chroma key it correctly, but yeah.
How hot does it get for you guys in there now? That's something to really consider too sometimes, right?
I actually do something where I funnel like my AC to the other side of the room to kind of like my side.
Right.
I feel like some kind of cardboard box tunneling system. It's pretty terrible.
That's awesome.
But it works well. Like the sound isn't there, but the coolness is. So it's like almost essential. It gets so warm before that.
Something that's just coming out now, like the Intel RealSense camera. What that does, the camera itself, it's a new technology coming out where it kind of reads depth perception onto the camera, so you don't really need a green screen at that point. It'll still block out your background. There's also some software coming out that I think XSplit is working with the company, and they're doing some sort of software thing where you don't even need that technology.
Try DefCam, that's right.
TriDef,
yes,
yep.
Right, cool.
And that does is block out. It basically reads you and where you are, and then it'll block out everything else in the background, which is great for people that don't want to dish out that extra for the green screen or find that the lights are too hot. Maybe it's too hot in their room. I mean, when you have that mega PC running and you have the studio lights and you have all these electronics going on, it can get a little bit hot. So it's something to consider as well.
Yeah, at the XSplit booth, they're actually giving demos and giving some free codes, I think, for that software.
Yeah, for that TriDef software, yeah, so check that out if you guys are interested.
Have to swing by.
They showed it to us on a laptop, right?
Yeah, they showed it to us on a laptop. It was pretty cool. I mean, it's kind of different right now, and I'm sure they're having trouble because they're at a convention where there's a lot of movement going on in the background, so it's difficult. It doesn't really work the best here, but when you're just sitting at home, there's nothing going on behind you. It's something to consider. It's a definite option.
Yeah, but if you're going to go green screen, couple options we looked up. These are just literally on Amazon, so you can go to Amazon and find a kit for $160 with the lighting and everything, or you can find just a green screen for $15. It's not going to have the pipe and everything there, but
Works for me.
You can always go thumbtacks.
Yeah, thumbtack,
that works.
Thumbtacks for the win. What else? Webcam. Of course, you're going to need a webcam, unless you're lucky enough to go non-webcam, which some of the guys do, and they're super popular.
Yep.
But most people go with the webcam. We have a couple of Logitech options here, anywhere from $40 to $100. And what do you guys go with?
I use just like a standard like mid-tier like camcorder with the HDMI out, like I mentioned earlier. So it gives me the 60 frames. I can do the very clean, like, zooming in. The lenses on those are obviously a lot bigger and a lot more flexibility. So that's what I use.
Yep.
I use the one, I think it's actually that one, is the C910 or C920 from
Right.
Logitech.
Yeah.
Just sits right on top of your computer. You can play with it a lot. It's got little software that you can do your settings or whatever you want. Works out really well. I've been using them for, the whole time I've been streaming, actually, so.
Yeah, and the good thing now about this whole Twitch craze that's been happening, a lot of companies are taking notice, and it used to be like basically just Logitech that would make webcams, and now everyone's getting into it, and they're coming out with some pretty neat stuff, so keep your eyes out on that. There's going to be a lot more options down the road.
Yeah, like you mentioned, the Intel RealSense camera.
Right. A lot of different companies are taking that, like I believe Razer's doing a webcam now, Intel themselves are working on something, so it's something to keep an eye out for sure.
And depending on what you're streaming, you might want to go with multiple webcams. When we do our live builds, when we stream the live builds of our PCs, we go with multiple cams. So you can have one overhead, one on Koozie,
Right.
and one close-up on the PC.
Yeah, if you're doing something different, if you're not just gaming, like there's people that do the creative stuff where they're drawing and stuff, and they'll have the webcam on them, and then they'll have a webcam overhead hanging out on what they're working on. And it's pretty cool, so it's something to consider. And it works if you have multiple USB ports. It's super easy. You can just plug them all into your PC, and it works just fine.
And it sounds a little weird, but with games like really high APM games like StarCraft and stuff, I think viewers get a big kick out of like hand cams. Like actually watching you play the game is pretty neat. So if you guys are playing StarCraft or an RTS where you're constantly just going ham on the keyboard,
Yep.
might want to consider that.
There's a girl streamer I met who actually streams on her laptop, and she plays League of Legends on her trackpad.
Oh, yeah?
And I told her, you need to get a second camera, and I need to see you do that. And it's to see her work, like just spinning that thing around. It's incredible. So that's something really cool, yeah.
Cat cams are also popular. You got your
Cat
stream. On the other side, you just have sleeping cats. Done it before.
Cats or dogs, yeah.
Effective.
Yeah, very effective.
Yep. What else? Multiple monitors. I'm guessing everybody here has
Necessary.
multiple monitors.
Very important.
Necessary.
Yeah.
Multiple monitors for the win. There's a picture here of 3 monitors. You don't need something that crazy, but minimum dual monitors. Do you guys have
Absolutely.
dual or
I
more?
do 3 monitors.
I do too.
Okay.
And why is that?
Just one is for chat, one is for like the little gizmos that happen on the screen, and one is for streaming or perhaps the game I'm playing. So just you end up using all your real estate.
Yeah,
It just
yeah.
always happens.
Yep. And there's some streamers I know who have insane setups, like
Right.
10 screens, and it's almost ridiculous, but it's something, I mean, it's really up to you, but definitely a dual monitor setup. Chat's important. I mean, interaction when you're streaming, it's like what the whole thing's about. So if you have your chat window there, you can have your streaming software and all that stuff on one side. I personally use 3 because I have my third monitor also for cheats when I'm playing games that I need answers to. I'll have my
What?
browser open there. If I need a quick walkthrough, like how do I do this? Okay, cool. So I don't want to look like a noob on stream. That's something to consider.
If I had more desk space, I'd probably go for 3.
3,
so,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And something like that where they have those,
Yeah.
if you see there, those rigs where you can just kind of hang the screens up, it really clears up a lot of space for you.
So you just said you use one PC to look up secrets? What?
No judgment. No judgment.
Don't judge me.
Greed is good. Greed is good.
You're supposed to use your phone for that. I mean, what else? Of course, you're going to need some type of software. We have OBS, XSplit, and brand new Infiniscene.
Yep.
What software do you guys use?
I actually it's weird, I use a mix of OBS and XSplit. I find OBS is very good for projecting the video somewhere else and taking off some of the CPU, and I use XSplit for capturing that and locally recording it. It's a little bit weird. If I were to suggest to anyone, I'd say just use XSplit. Very easy to use, great local recording. I just happen to have weird needs.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've used XSplit when I first started. I used XSplit, but I've sort of transitioned into OBS. It just seems a little bit easier on the computer, and
Absolutely.
I've just gotten used to it. It feels real smooth, but they're both good.
They're both very good. I think XSplit has a fee to it, right? Or you can use it free, but it doesn't unlock all the features.
Yeah. There's some limitations on there.
Yeah,
But, I mean,
so if you're just starting out, OBS is completely free to use. There's add-ons for it that add extra features to it. It is extremely low CPU intensive. It's great to use. I've used both myself. Infinicine's a new one coming out. They're actually here at the convention. It's like a web browser-based capture software. It's really neat, but it's extremely low CPU intensive.
Wow.
So it's something to really look into. They got some cool features that they're working on. I haven't had a chance to stop by and hear about them, but something to look into as well.
Cool.
They're giving away the beta in their
Oh,
booth,
cool.
right?
Yeah, go check that out.
Yeah, check out their table. Yeah. And then, of course, some type of headset. We happen to have Plantronics headset here. Corey, you want to talk about?
You want to talk about your headsets?
You
So
wanna talk about
definitely
some of your
for,
headsets?
for our headsets, we really, for those that are starting out, aspirational, really looking to see if streaming is for them on both console as well as PC. Definitely what we've created here with the rig is a headset and a mixer, which right now you can get for under $99, well, for $99 or less. And so that's something that we would recommend for those that are really looking to get into streaming for the first time. Definitely if you're going to do, some people like to have their multiplayer while they're streaming. I mean, I think it's a lot easier and more beneficial if you have a headset, especially as folks are moving into console streaming. Once you go beyond that, I think you get to a point where you want to get to more of that professional studio environment, and the headsets get much, much smaller. Some people have opted in for earbuds or then go to nothing at all, or something that no one on camera would
Can
see.
even see, correct? Yeah.
So
You guys,
what about for you all, yeah?
You guys use mixers at all?
No, I've transitioned from like using hardware mixers to just using the software within
Software
Windows to
mixers,
manage
yeah,
all
yeah.
that. And for headphones, I'm honestly looking for like a better solution, but right now I'm just using some Shure earbuds. It's very light, they're not there, but I'm sure there's better stuff out there. So I'd love to learn more.
Yeah, I still use a full gaming headset, the Corsair Void. It's a new one. It's comfortable, lightweight.
It's very sexy on you, dude.
Sponsored by Corsair. Full disclosure. But yeah, I think that I've definitely seen people just using earbuds if they're comfortable with that. I mean, if you have a desktop mic, then you can pretty much do whatever you want. But having for me, just as a gamer, I like that vibe. I like the headset feel.
too, yeah.
And like I said earlier, if you don't have the resources for a desktop mic or just don't feel like getting one, you can get a headset with a mic on it, and you're good to go.
Yeah, I use the Razer Kraken Chromas. Extremely comfortable, great sound quality. I like the sound quality in the game, especially when you're playing first-person shooters and you kind of need that directional sound and know where the footsteps are coming from. Always even the ones that have the surround sound in them. Highly recommend them. They're a lot of fun to use. They actually bring the game experience to a whole new level, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah, this slide is about beyond the PC. Anything else beyond the PC we haven't talked about?
Oh, sure. One cool thing I've done very recently is actually get USB foot pedals. And so that's very valuable in that, like, let's say you do voice chats, or let's say Discord chats with other broadcasters or your fellow viewers. You can just instead of having to do something with your hands, you can just use your foot, press the pedal, they get muted, or you mute yourself with another pedal. So that's 3 pedals. So one can be used to mute everybody else but you, just to mute them, or just to mute yourself. And that way you can kind of manage your voice while not interrupting the game and being able to talk to your viewers. So I found that very useful. You can bind the foot pedals to whatever you want, to start recording, to stop recording. So it's just another kind of function to easily keep your hands focused while you keep doing your thing.
Maximum immersion.
Exactly.
Another thing
exactly.
I have to buy. Thank you, Swift.
Pretty cool. It's like $40, made out of metal, super nice. I wish I did it a long time ago.
Cool.
And what do you guys use for keyboards, for example? I use just Razer, Stealth, beautiful keyboard. How about you guys?
Yeah.
Well, Corsair K70 RGB keyboard. No, that's just.
Yeah, I use Razer Black Widow. The thing is, I play a lot of MMOs, and I need a lot of different key binds, and anything that has extra keys on it. My mouse, I use the Naga, which has a bunch of different keys on it, which I can bind to anything. It's neat to have. It gives you kind of an edge, I think, in certain games, when you can bind certain macros, like in a game, like pull out your sword and cast something, or use a skill, right with pressing one button. It's really cool.
Absolutely, cool. You're right. Some of my buttons just to start recording and stop recording on the Razer keyboard. Beautiful for that.
That's awesome.
Yep. I also have a Razer keyboard, Razer mouse, and depending on the game, if I'm gonna switch up and go Diablo, then I switch to another type of mouse. With the with the hotkeys and everything.
Oh, cool.
What else? What about gaming chairs? I feel like there's so many
that's
gaming
such a
chairs out
thing.
there. It's like you're not cool unless you have a gaming chair. I mean, they're everywhere.
Yeah.
You guys have gaming chairs or?
I've got a fancy $2,000 Hammond chair, whatever that brand was. Sorry, I'm embarrassing.
Herman
to say what it
Miller?
is. Oh yeah, Herman Miller. It's a Herman Miller.
I have one of those.
Yeah, those are beautiful. It's almost it looks like a rocket ship. I mean, I forgot what it's
Really
called, but yeah, super comfortable, very adjustable. And I mean, chairs are so important if you're sitting down there for all day playing games. So definitely worth the investment. How about you guys?
I use it's this really neat chair I found at Staples. So it's usually have either a squishy chair, a really full kind of leathery chair.
Right.
But the one that I have is I knew when we moved to California, I was it's probably gonna get hot around here. So I got this weird almost rubber mesh kind of thing.
I think I know.
It's really but it's really supportive and nice. It's
Yeah.
almost streaming on like a trampoline. Just kind of like wiggle
Bounce back
around,
and
and I,
forth.
and I do. I kind of like move around a lot when I'm streaming. So that's kind of a lightweight, breathable trampoline chair, I guess.
Yeah. My current chair pretty much allows me to stream for a max of like 3 or 4 hours before I start hurting. I definitely need to invest in a gaming chair, something really comfortable. It's important and it's something you don't really think about, but when you're sitting there talking, especially if you're really interactive and kind of moving around a lot, like it'll wear on you. So definitely look into a nice, comfortable chair.
Or a yoga ball, engage your core.
Or yoga. Yeah, there you go. Engage
Or
your
sofa?
core.
I don't know.
Sofa. I've seen
sofa.
people stream on sofas before.
A treadmill, you know.
Yeah, just
your
be on the
cardio
move
in,
the
yeah.
entire time. That's cool.
Are you gonna go trampoline chair or what, Kuzi?
I think I'm gonna do the yoga
Yeah.
ball.
Nice.
Go to Staples, check that out.
Nice. Make sure somebody like runs behind you and pops it on screen.
Yeah, oh.
Be a good highlight though, right?
Yeah, exactly. It'll be beautiful.
So, Q&A. Anyone have any questions? I believe there's a mic here. I'm not sure if you want to brave the mic or if you just want to yell at us.
What video card do you guys recommend for Oculus Rift with a triple monitor setup?
What video card for Oculus Rift?
Yeah.
So I believe that Oculus just came out and said 980 was what they recommend.
It's ideal for them from what they're saying. The thing is about the Oculus Rift, you're looking at a crazy resolution, a crazy aspect ratio because you're looking everywhere. So in order for it to render every piece of it, it's something that it's going to need an extremely powerful GPU. So yeah, 980 Ti is something you should look into. The good thing is that with new technology coming out, those prices are dropping every day. So definitely, I'd start at the 980. 970 bare minimum, it's going to hitch a little bit. You're not going to get 60 FPS with that, but it's still going to work. But the 980 is a good starting point.
It also depends on what you're running, you know. If you're running Minecraft VR, if you're running something else VR, you know, Unreal Engine. I mean, it depends on what you're going to run. I've seen Oculus running on a laptop, you know, so it's not fully baked yet, so we're not really sure 100%, but yeah, 980 for now, but
Yeah.
you know, it could change. It's not out yet.
Great.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So I was curious about the, I just started a new computer build. So I got the i5 6600K series, and that one supposedly supports DX11 and DDR4 memory.
Right.
And I was wondering if I'm bottlenecking my 980, my GTX 980, by running that quad core, given that I do now have DDR4 memory, and I was comparing the specs to the i7 version of the 660K, and they're very comparable as far as
Yep.
everything.
The Skylake, you're talking about the Skylake one
Yeah,
of the
the
new
Skylake,
i5.
yeah.
Extremely powerful. You actually have a really, really good rig. You're in a good position too because down the line, if you need something else, you have the chipset to upgrade already. So I think you're in pretty good shape with that. You're not. Did you ask if it was bottlenecking? Is that what you're?
Yeah,
saying?
because it's $250, and you're saying spend more on
Right.
the GPU, and seeing as the video card's $600 and the processor is really affordably like $250.
Right.
And from all the perks and benefits and the comparative stats, I was just like, wow,
Right.
why do I need to wait until the i7's installed?
No, you're actually in really good shape with that system. Like I said, it's not going to bottleneck for sure. I mean,
Okay.
Skylake's extremely powerful. Even the i5s are something to marvel at. It is really affordable, which can throw some people off. So you're like, wait, how can I afford this? And it's really that good. It really is that good.
Awesome.
So you're in good shape.
Cool. And then
That was a
last
single GPU, right?
single.
Yeah, single
Yeah.
GPU, you're fine. Yep.
Yeah, single GPU. I'll get to that later. But and then lastly, APC setups. I don't believe that was covered. Do you
What setups, I'm sorry?
APC, like supporting power, like power surge protector?
Okay, I'm not
So-
too familiar with that.
You know, when lightning hits and your system.
Oh, okay, like backup.
Yeah,
battery-
power-
yeah, battery
It's actually a really, really good thing. Do you guys use anything like that?
I have a very simple like UPS uninterruptible power supply that sits in
Yeah.
between, and it literally only powers my PC, not my monitors, and it's just enough so that if like if I have a power outage, I can safely plug one of my monitors in, quickly save and shut down everything safely. But otherwise, I really don't do much. Just a fail safe there.
Probably not. I have a surge protector, and I don't think that's what you're talking about.
That's something. That's
I'm
something
probably
we're
in
really
danger. which is-
Yeah, man. You're in danger.
But luckily, we have the Origin PC laptop and another Origin PC on standby, so
There you go. You got your backups.
maybe we'll be okay. Hopefully.
Well, yeah, but that's something to definitely consider, especially if you're in an area that has power outages quite frequently.
Florida.
Yeah, like us, for example. We're from Miami, Florida, so we get power outages there all the
Yeah,
time.
we don't get a lot of lightning in SoCal. So. Maybe earthquake,
Yeah, maybe earthquake, right? Yeah. Jeez.
Thank you,
But
guys.
yeah, that's definitely a really good thing. Thank you for that.
Awesome. Thank you.
No problem.
Just to make a couple of quick points on when you're talking about chairs, a much more reasonably priced chair that works very well, or you can look into executive office chairs. You know, the big, like, poofy, fake leather
ones, right?
chairs. Those last, like, you can sit in those for a very long time and be fine, and they're only at, like, 100, 150, like, really a much more reasonably cost than $2,000.
Good point. Yeah.
And just a quick point on headsets is what I've found since I've used a plethora of different headsets from different companies is that it really is just user based on which ones you think are good or not for how they feel. Like you say you love the Razer Chrome,
Krakens, right?
I hate those.
Yeah, yeah.
I
it's
can't
really-
wear. I
it's
can wear them
dependent.
for maybe 10 minutes, and then my ears.
Yeah,
are
because
like
they do
red.
get a little hot, right? After you're wearing them for a while.
Yeah, but then I love Plantronics Rick, and I have.
We do have a solution for that.
My question is though is on keyboards. As a gamer, I have a mechanical keyboard, and I love it. But then I feel bad if I'm streaming and I need to type something. Like,
point.
God, I'm just going to assault their ears with this typing.
Yeah.
So, like, is there anything that you do about that?
Switches?
Yeah, I mean, like, there's like at least the Razer Stealth is a slightly like more sensitive or less noisy, but my viewers still hear them. I think
Yeah.
they're just used to it. It's a kind of accepted thing. If you want to use mechanical keyboards, they're going to make noise. I haven't really found any that are super quiet.
Right.
Just a necessary evil. To my understanding, if there's a solution out there, I'd love to know it.
Some people actually really like the tactile keyboard. They like the sound of it. So
Yeah,
when you're
that's
gaming,
what I
they
was wondering,
the
like-
little clicks. Yeah.
I enjoy the sound of it. One thing I did notice, there's a big difference when you have your mic on your desk
Right.
to when you have it hanging.
Yeah.
You don't hear it as much. So
I
it's something
guess,
you
like,
should
the-
definitely
just
consider.
the thumping noise is like of the movement of the desk.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's not just the clicking of the keyboard, but you also hear the thumping of the desk, and it kind of vibrates on the mic, so it makes it sound a lot louder. But if you get a hanging, the little, what are those things called? Where you hang the
Boom mics?
Yeah, the boom
Yeah.
mics. Right. Exactly. If you get one of those, it'll definitely help you out a bit.
One thing worth mentioning with microphones, some microphones have these like shock mounts, which is like rubber bands basically holding it in place, and that really helps a lot. Like my desk can move a ton, and microphone will not respond to that, so that's pretty useful too.
Another super high-tech solution that I had was I actually put it on a box of tissues. Sort of dampened the
Yeah.
effect.
It helps.
Yeah.
It helps.
Thank
Sure.
Morning, guys. Can I ask you a couple of different questions?
Sure.
First and foremost, regarding capture cards, something I'm looking to get into is having a PCI onboard card, just to reduce delay and whatnot. Unfortunately, what I'm seeing with a lot of those is that they're like strictly HDMI. I don't know if there's like the only other thing I could use for it is component. I don't know if there's like a conversion that you guys would recommend for that, or if there is one that comes with cables that convert it.
I'm not familiar with that one. I use two of these Japanese capture cards called SC-512s. A little bit on the pricier side. They go for about 300 each. But
Yeah, I've
they
looked at
come-
those, but-
Oh yeah, so those come with at least mine came with the adapter straight up. That would let you convert it to like composite input, HDMI input, RSA input, even like really great for retro consoles and those have been working really well for me. But I mean, what was the exact question? It was a little hard for me to hear you.
No, that's fine. I'm sorry. I was just looking for something basically that I could capture with a PCI onboard capture card rather than external, just to reduce delay, latency, and whatnot.
Oh.
Using component. 'Cause I've seen a lot of like external cards that have composite component and.
Yeah, so I'm not really familiar with the external capture cards myself. I'm sure there's a
Okay.
great resource out there. But personally, I'm not.
Okay, that's
Sorry.
fine. Other question then related to CPU usage. I run an i5 4690K. A couple of times I've noticed I've streamed some GameCube stuff, and based on a couple of the things I've been running, the CPU usage and Task Manager is looking like it's getting up to like 50-55%. I'm just wondering, like, at what point does that number become a concern?
I think it depends on what you do and what you're playing. If you're playing, let's say, like console games, it's not a big deal because the console's handling all the heavy lifting of the gameplay stuff. If you're playing PC games that are more intensive, then maybe you should be a little bit concerned and maybe look at the software you're using, like are you using like OBS 32-bit or 64-bit. If you're using 32-bit, switch over to 64-bit, you'll save like maybe 5% CPU there from that switch. So it really just depends on your use case there.
Okay, because I've been monitoring temperatures and whatnot, and everything's fine and whatnot.
Right.
But haven't noticed
If
any
you're at
slowdowns or-
about 50-55 usage, you said you're in pretty good shape.
It's,
It's not too
It
horrible.
fluctuates. It's not too often it gets that high, but
And it also
so-
really depends on how quality you're streaming. If you're doing if you notice people that do 1080p 60 FPS, your CPU usage it's crazy at that point. Switching down to something smaller, 720 60, 720 30, you'll be saving a lot of CPU power at that point.
Great. Thank you, guys.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Hey there.
How you doing?
Hello.
My question is, how does your recommended hardware setup change if you are a console gamer?
I think it just means, I do a lot of my stuff on console. I think if you're strictly console, you do not need as nice of a graphics card because, yeah, your console's taking care of all the graphics processing. I think it's, again, still good to have an NVIDIA card that can handle the lower CPU local recording, which you'll definitely want to do.
Yep.
But I think that's really the only big difference. I guess you could take a hit on your CPU too, anything crazy for that, but having a great CPU just helps you with everything, right? The snappiness of your OS, your ability to encode video later on. You can do higher H.264 encodes. But yeah, if you're doing strictly console, you know that's all you're going to do, then you can definitely go a little bit more gentler on the specs, I think.
Absolutely. I think the Shadow Play from NVIDIA starts at the 700 series, if
Yes.
I'm not mistaken.
Right.
So you can get a 700 series card, even like a 760 or something like that, low end, and you'll be in pretty good shape because you'll be able to capture and just focus on your CPU at that point, quad core or higher, definitely, and you'll be solid.
Cool. Thanks, guys.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Hello.
How you doing?
So one of you guys, some of you guys are running multi-GPU setups, correct?
Yep.
Yeah.
Have you guys running into any problems while streaming while having multi or anything like that? Because I've been looking around and a lot of people do advise against it, but I just want to know your guys' opinion.
It's really dependent on the games at that point. There's some games that come out at first and aren't optimized for SLI because it's just not viable for them to strictly start focusing on SLI from the beginning. A lot of games you'll see when they're like in beta and whatnot, they're still not optimized for SLI, which is when people run into issues. But it's really easy to switch off SLI at that point. But games that have been out for a while and are optimized and are already running SLI, you'll definitely see a huge performance boost in your FPS. That's the only issue you'll ever run into, though, is with unoptimized games or games that don't support SLI yet. But it's always the yet, because eventually they're going to get to that point, guaranteed.
Yeah, I've only had one game that ever gave me a little bit of chop, like right as soon as it came out. It was no shots fired, but Shadows of Mordor. It was a little choppy when it first came out. That might have had to do with the game itself, but I run 2 graphics cards and it's been great the entire time. So
Okay.
yeah.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Just for the quick time check, we have about 8 minutes left. We need the last 5 minutes from Corey has a special announcement. So we've got about 3 minutes. So maybe 1 or 2 more questions. If there's still people that have questions, we're going to stick around. You can ask us directly. So shoot.
Morning.
Good morning.
I was thinking about, you talk about putting all the power for the encoding in the CPU, but as the GPU powered encoding get better in the future, like NVIDIA encoding and this, would you recommend a dedicated GPU card for encoding?
What was the question? A dedicated
Yeah,
GPU
so
for
you
encoding?
use, today you use the H.264 encoding on the CPU, but you can do the same on the GPU with the NVIDIA encoding.
Right.
Right.
That's something that's a new thing coming out, right, where the GPUs are doing some of the encoding. Still, when it comes to streaming, I think, and when it comes to the software capable right now, the CPU is still the most important thing. The problem is when you do GPU encoding, now you're cutting the GPU power, because now it's partially encoding and running whatever game you're playing. So it's really going to take a bit of a hit.
That's why I was talking about dedicating.
Yeah, dedicated.
Dedicated.
So you
GPU.
have maybe a
I
slice
got
it
you.
up for your...
I have personally, I haven't tested that out yet. Have you guys?
I have with the GPU encoding for, let's say, like streaming. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem viable yet. For you to actually get good quality on your stream with GPU encoding, you need to get some pretty serious bit rates of 15,000, 20,000, and even like Twitch caps at 3,500. Like, it's just not feasible either way. So for now, at least with the technology as it is, it's CPU is the way to go. But in the future, I think that it'll eventually make sense. It just doesn't at this moment.
It kind of captured into the Premiere and After Effects using the GPU more. So just thinking about the future.
Oh, absolutely. Definitely something to keep an eye out. Keep an eye out on.
All right, one more.
I don't really have a question. I just wanted to chime in on the keyboard thing. I'm a mechanical keyboard nut. Check your switches. MX Blues are specifically designed to have that loud clickety-clackety sounds.
Right.
Yep.
Browns and reds are going to be your quietest switches. I know Corsair makes a brown or red
Yeah, that's what I'm using
keyboard.
right now. It's real nice.
DOS Ultimates are good, Ducky Shines, Pokers, things like that.
Cool. Thank you, man.
Thank you.
I think it's more important just about the keyboard. Use the kind of keyboard that you like, and your viewers will deal. You know.
Exactly.
Cool. So,
Thank you guys so much.
Yeah, thank you. Corey actually has one more announcement you're definitely going to want to listen to.
Yes, definitely. Thank you all for staying to the end, and looks like a couple of folks are coming in maybe for the next session, but good timing. We actually have up to 10 of the rig headsets and mixers to give away. And the way we're going to do it is, if you look on your right under your seat in the left corner, front corner of the seat, under the seat, there are 10 of my business cards.
Check those chairs, baby. There's a lot of empty ones.
It's a lot of empty ones.
There.
No whammies.
Has anyone found a card yet? There you go. Okay, we got 2, 3.
Two. All right.
All right, I'm going to start getting these headsets ready, but
Yeah, thank you guys so much for coming out. Really appreciate it. Like Kevin said, we'll stick around if you guys have any questions, all right?
Cool.
That's it.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
yeah, thanks.
Good job, team.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Good stuff, man.
Good show.